Hi, I'm John Corvino. You may have heard about a recent study by Mark Regnerus at the University of Texas at Austin. The study, which was funded by the conservative Witherspoon Institute, aims to debunk the idea that children raised by same-sex families do just as well as children raised in other family forms. But it's important to know what the study actually examined. Regnerus looked at a large random sample of adults who had been raised in different family situations. If they were raised by their married biological mother and father throughout childhood, he put them in the intact biological family category. Otherwise, he asked them a series of further questions and put them in different categories based on the answers to those. Divorced families, step families, single-parent families, adoptive families, lesbian mothers, or gay fathers. He then looked at their outcomes as adults in terms of educational attainment, relationship success, economic class, and so on. And he concluded that the children in the lesbian mother and gay father categories did markedly worse than those in the intact biological family category. The problem is that he defined lesbian mother and gay father so broadly that this study actually tells us nothing about same-sex families at all. Regnerus asked respondents whether their parents had ever had a same-sex relationship during the respondents' childhood. And if they said yes, he would put them in the lesbian mother or gay father category regardless of the length of that relationship, even a quick tryst would count, and regardless of any other family transitions. Only 23% of the so-called lesbian mother respondents actually lived with their mother and her partner for at least 3 years. Less than 2% of the so-called gay father respondents lived with their father and his partner for at least 3 years. And of all of the respondents, only 2 lived with a same-sex couple throughout childhood. 2 is not a representative sample. So this study doesn't really tell us about same-sex parenting. It tells us about heterosexual families that fell apart. The problem is instability, not gayness. And we shouldn't be surprised that these children look like children from divorced families and single-parent families, because the vast majority of them were children from divorced families and single-parent families. That tells us nothing at all about planned same-sex families, and it certainly tells us nothing about who should be allowed to marry. An interesting thing about same-sex couples, we don't generally wake up and say, "Oops, we're pregnant." A lot of planning needs to go into that. One thing we know is that planning, careful planning, tends to be good for children, and that instability tends to be bad for them. So if we're really concerned about child welfare, it seems we should actually be supporting marriage for these couples and families, not forbidding it. So the next time someone tells you they heard about this Regnerus study showing that children in same-sex families don't do as well, you can tell them that it shows no such thing. And you can also tell them that the journal that released the study has since conducted an audit, concluding that it should never have been published in the first place. Honey! Honey, do you know how to use this?